Hello, everyone, and welcome to Magma Rage's episode 15. Today we are joined by Mali ExiiA Amin, one of the Algerian players playing in the ESL African Championship. Welcome to Magma Rages, and it's going to be very interesting to chat to you and find out more about yourself and the Algerian scene. As usual, we have Pandemonia with us. Thanks for coming along as always. But let's get straight into it. Let's find out a bit more about ExiiA. So, ExiiA, tell us a bit about yourself. Give us like a brief introduction, sort of your like what you do,
Mm,
your gaming history, anything like that.
Hello, guys. I'm starting. So, what do you want me to speak about myself exactly? I didn't hear you. Sorry.
So just tell us a bit about yourself. Like, how long have you been gaming? What do you do? Are you studying or working or anything like that?
Okay. So, I have been in the around the gaming community around about all the games
Yeah.
since 8 years, I think.
Oh wow.
I started in CS:GO and
Yeah.
CSM 1.6, 1.5, I think, in the past. Half-Life Execution, then I developed it to with the games and the years. I
Yeah.
am actually studying and working at the same time.
Okay.
That's not really something hard because I am working with in a family business,
Yeah, yeah.
so it's quite a going good for me at the moment.
Yeah, well, I mean, you seem to still be able to find time for gaming, and in particular,
Yeah,
Hearthstone at the moment. So, like, you said you've been playing games since you were young. So what? I think you're 23. You told me. So that's like 15
yes,
years or so that you've been playing games
yeah.
now. I mean, I think that's pretty similar as well for Pandemonia and myself. Um, when did you start with Hearthstone though?
I started like 2 years ago. I wasn't playing. I mean, at too much like now I'm doing because
Yeah.
when I started, I did booked the packs. I did got some. I did got already almost all the cards at the decks at the moment.
Mm.
But it was a strange game for me since you are going to lose sometimes due to the RNG
Yeah.
and something sometimes you are losing something like it was. What the fuck, dude? You was winning full the game and then just
Yeah.
York Sauron example, just York can own you.
Yeah, yeah. And I mean, coming from something like CS:GO, it can be very frustrating when you think you're the better player and you're losing, occasionally. That's like a very difficult mindset that you have to change when playing a game like Hearthstone.
Yeah.
Yeah. So how long have you been playing it competitively then?
In CS or in Hearthstone?
In Hearthstone.
In Hearthstone, I think less than 1 year.
Okay. So what
There
made
is
you?
not really competitive. I started last year in the summer
Yeah.
playing some Striveware tournaments.
Yeah, yeah.
I think you know the.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. And then there's no really tournaments in my country, so the thing we do, there were some gathering fireside. We were meeting there and we was playing.
Okay.
But the first real tournament, I think this one, the ESL one.
Yeah, yeah.
Hoping it's going to be a big one.
Yeah, I mean, it seems to be going pretty well for you and your fellow Algerians. So you're saying you have some like fireside gatherings and whatnot there in Algeria.
Yep.
Is that sort of like how is the gaming community there? Do you have many LANs or anything like that, or are you limited to just sort of a few fireside gatherings in here?
We were limited to just few far gatherings. At the start of the year, there were not this one. I mean, 2016.
Yeah.
There was something good that we did manage to get one fireside every weekend, every
Okay.
week. So that was really cool. But
Yeah.
we stopped it about 41. The second one, I didn't go after the second one. I think.
Oh, okay.
and then they stopped it at the fourth one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, yeah. It can be difficult to sort of maintain that interest in fireside gatherings. I mean, we've had the similar problems as well in South Africa.
Mm.
I mean, in particular in Cape Town, we also had them very frequently for a while, but eventually people lose interest if it's just almost too often, right? Um, so yeah. So the ESL, what made you and your compatriots interested in the ESL stuff? Was it just the prize money, the lure of the prize money at the end?
Not really. I didn't really want so much in prize money from gaming. I just wanted to playing at a competitive scene. You believe me if I told you even now I don't think I the I don't know how to tell this in English. We don't have such things or sponsorizing events in our country, so
Yeah.
we'd never check the prize money. We don't even believe in it. it, it may be fake, but it was an African competitive
Yep.
tournament, so we was going to face all the Africans from Tunisia, Morocco, um, Egypt, South Africa. That was great, dude. That was if anything to know to get some experience and to know some other people from another country who love the same game of you.
Yeah. So a large part of it was the appeal of playing with fellow Africans versus, a lot of the like European tournaments that you see on like Strivewire and stuff.
Yeah,
Okay, that's pretty awesome. So there were three of you guys that made it to the league stage or the group stage that we're at now. You
yep,
yourself, Expert Summer and Saliom. I believe you
yes,
guys are all relatively close friends, from what I understand from what you told me
yes,
before.
yes.
So do you guys like prepare together, or I mean, like, did you guys sort of help each other prepare and whatnot for the qualifiers and the events? I don't know if you guys are actually like physically close to each other, or if you just sort of talk over like TeamSpeak or Skype or something like that.
I knew Expert Sama like 5 years ago. He was my coach when I started playing Hearthstone. I didn't have any cards. I was playing the hunter face, the old one, the good one with the
Yeah.
two secret the thing from Max. I forgot the name. He
Yeah.
helped me to build the shaman deck, I think, and we were still in touch because we was meeting in some CS community matches. He was
Okay.
playing CS a bit too,
Okay.
so I knew him physically and even from the internet.
Yeah.
I did meet Salium this year,
Okay.
and I did find that he was living near my house.
Oh wow, that's pretty
That's so
cool.
strange, but we are still in contact. We are practicing each others. We are speaking about the meta and preparing some new stuff. We are trying between us.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it seems to be going well in particular for you guys. I mean, this last week in the ESL, you guys had a very effective Saturday, crushing all the South Africans in the games you came up against them. And I mean, you guys generally brought relatively similar strategies. There was a lot of a switch from the more like slow decks that we saw in the weeks before to like the aggressive decks. Sort of more like token druids and pyro warriors and those kind of things. Was that sort of a choice overall that you guys wanted to try and exploit the greedy lineups we'd seen from some of the players?
That was already a choice that we had made this week
Yeah.
because we were really mad. We lost me and Salion the last one. We took each one 3-0. We did get countered. So we
Yeah.
played mid lane and said they're really good players. I don't
Yeah.
doubt about it. They did get interesting lineup where they did counter each of us.
Yeah.
So we took 3-0, 3-0. We didn't have had that knowledge of you can counter because you can change the deck each day, before the match.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they kind of gave us an idea, and we were really mad that we did lost. So we prepared a bit 2 days before, 2 days ago, I think, yeah.
Okay.
And we was thinking about what they could bring if they kept the same decks, what they could change if they change.
Yeah.
And we did definitely think about if they change it for us, what can they bring, etc. We took the best deck we took. They can challenge the other one.
Yeah.
So we bring token to that some aggro, some really hard aggro like Pirate Warriors.
Well, I mean, the strategy definitely seemed to be working out, or seemed to work out. You guys are all sitting in the top four, I believe, at the moment.
Yep,
So I mean that's
the top three.
yeah, the top three in fact. So that's definitely been working out for you guys. So I mean, congrats on that shift in mindset. That was the one thing I brought up in the casting is that some of the lineups didn't seem sort of cohesive. Like they had weak spots in them where maybe they were good against one deck, except for one of the decks that would be like weak to something like Quest Rogue when all the other decks counter Quest Rogue. So it was good to see you guys in particular bringing more cohesive lineups. That's something that I really like to see as somebody that values preparation very highly for tournaments.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the Sunday was a bit different for ESL. You guys had to play each other. I think Stallion played Expert Summer, if I'm not mistaken.
Yep,
Yeah,
yes.
and
That was a funny one.
yeah, and you had to play Henryless, who's the lone Madagascan player in the tournament. So I mean, how was that? Like, Australia and Expert, some are close. I know sometimes when you're playing players you know quite well, it can be quite interesting. Sometimes you try and predict what each other are gonna do, or you bring like really weird decks just to like meme your friend.
So yes, they are very close. I think they're
Yeah.
good friends between them. Who Expert somehow have a little problem. He don't really have a lot of collection cards,
Oh, okay.
so we can't know what he could change for or what he could bring. And me and Salium did target him. I helped Salium to prepare yesterday. He did put the crab who eats the murlocs in
Yeah, yeah.
his quest log,
Yeah, I
and he
saw
did
that.
put two in his token road that he
Yeah.
did got banned. He was targeting the that paladin decks. So
Yeah.
even if experience could join, at least he would do 2 to 3. But he wasn't able at the final to valid his paladin. And what did happen? That Spirit decided to doesn't switch deck, so he kept the paladin and then that take him to a loss of 3-0.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, I mean that full crab strategy definitely sometimes pays off when you're trying to target the paladin. I mean, we saw it as well. We've seen it from other players as well in this tournament. I think Mainland also brought it on the Saturday, but was it? No, it wasn't Mainland. Oh, it was somebody else that also brought it. Sorry, I can't remember. So many games, like 4 games a night. It really gets to you when you're casting for over 4 hours. It's very difficult to remember which games are which. Um, but yeah, I mean, we on the Sunday we also did see all the South Africans playing each other as well. And Mackie Boy managed to finally get a win on the board, so keeping his
Very
hopes
I'm
nice.
really
alive.
happy for him.
Yeah. I mean, I think everyone that was watching was happy for Mackie Boy to finally get a win. He managed to beat Menlin as well, who was up until now the best performing South African player. Um, yeah, so I mean that's big for him to sort of get a chance. I mean, we can see the table now, and you guys are all sitting comfortably there at the top. Whereas the table's definitely flipped, and the South Africans are now in 6, 7, 8, and but it's still pretty close. I mean, we're still pretty
Yeah,
early,
it's
not
still
even at the
close,
halfway
and
stage,
yeah,
and
yeah, 8 matches left. I think that's a
yeah,
lot. Everything can happen.
yeah. I mean, there's only 3 points between sixth and first at this point, and that's just one win.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's still going to be very close, and it's going to be very interesting to see how it pans out in the next few weeks. So yeah, I mean, good luck for that. You guys have been very nice when I've been speaking to you guys quite a bit. Yourself and Expert Summer in particular uh, tend to watch me playing on ladder quite a bit, and yeah, you guys have been very friendly. So it's been great to see for us South African players who can sometimes be a bit insular in our community. Um, it's great to sort of get in contact with some of the rest of the African players as well.
Same feelings, dude.
Yeah. And then speaking of insular South African tournaments, we also had a very fun tournament over the weekend, the EAE Trinity Series Challenge. I think that's what it was called. Yeah, basically it was a tournament that was inspired by the Trinity series that we saw, ESL's Trinity series, and it was structured in a way that we had captains picked from the notable players that sort of signed up, and then they were randomly assigned to teammates. And the tournament was sort of very open to players with sort of all collection sizes, didn't and newer and older players. So it was sort of a luck of the draw on teammates as well.
Yeah.
And both Pandemonia and myself competed in that. And in fact, we managed to face each other in the first round. Pandemonia's team, the Dirty Rats, coming up against my team, the Droid Army. First off, a big shout out to Jack of Blades and Evoid, who are my teammates. They were really great. We did a fair bit of preparation together and even practiced some games on ladder, because that dynamic of talking through turns with your team can actually be quite difficult. I don't know how you found that with your team, Pandemonia.
Yeah, it was quite tricky because sometimes also, I think the time has also shortened. So I think it's 75 seconds a turn. It's no longer 90 seconds anymore.
Yeah.
But being able to try to discuss and then come to a sort of decision in the time can be quite tricky, especially if there isn't a clear line of play. It's quite easy when, okay, turn 2, we all agree, let's play Wild Growth. But it becomes a bit trickier when there's different lines to go down. There's an aggressive. Do you trade? Do you go face? Do you try roll high? And then sometimes it's quite difficult in that time to A, make that decision, and then B, the rest of your team kind of be on the same page as you.
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean that's why, especially with my team, I wanted to focus on practicing with them to get the communication down, because I thought that was sort of the biggest factor that would get in the way of us playing optimally as a team. And I mean, I was quite lucky in that both the players that I played with had relatively full collections, so we weren't too limited, so we could bring a lot of tier 1 decks. The one thing I did find that was interesting about this tournament is that like in Trinity Series, you had to ban, so it was a best of 11.
Whoa.
Yeah, so each team had to bring all 9 classes, and you would ban 2 of your opponent's classes.
From 2 different players.
Yeah, from 2 different players, and they would ban 2 of yours, and then you would have to self-ban from your third player. So what this meant was, because of the limited collections in some players, we had to sort of say up front which players were playing which classes, and then you could only ban a maximum of 1 from each player. So the strategy that our team came up with was largely to try and put the 3 worst classes together, or the 3 classes least likely to be banned, let's say, which obviously is Warlock, is one of those. And the idea there was that the bans would always be on the other 2 players, and we could always self-ban Warlock, so we never had to play Warlock. And that worked for us in the tournament. And every opponent we played, we managed to force them to play Warlock, yeah, which was great, because it's like a free win when you play Warlock. I mean,
Yeah.
we didn't, I don't think we lost a game against Warlock. So yeah, I mean that part of our strategy definitely worked out. And a shout out to Jack of Blades once again for having to go through that. We gave him Hunter and Shaman to go with his Warlock, as we felt those would almost never be banned. There was the Elemental Shaman and just a mid-range Hunter. It was like Muzzy's list pretty much. And I mean that strategy worked out pretty well for us. Even so much as allowing us to 6-0 with Hunter in our second series, because this was our last hero standing as well. So that was quite interesting. Yeah, I mean the first series we managed to beat Dale's or Pandemonia's Dirty Rats, and then the second series
6-3.
Yeah, the second series we 6-0'd the Servants of the Wisp, who had previously 6-0'd their previous game with Hunter. Ironically, we then 6-0'd them with Hunter.
Wow, so Hunter.
Yeah, so they had 12 Hunter games in that tournament. That was all.
Smoke punishes.
Wow. Well, I mean, or like they had saw 12 hunter wins. Sorry, obviously they had to play all of their 6 decks against our hunter, and we managed to win like all the games with our hunter. So that was a great series. And then in the final we played Blaze Elfie, which was Philo's team. Um,
Mm.
or Philo, sorry. He was our guest last week and last week on the podcast. And that one was quite close, but we managed to win that 6-4. So we actually managed to win the tournament, which was really great. Uh,
GG
yeah,
to you guys.
yeah, thanks. I must say a big shout out to Noob Cake, he for organizing all of this, and he did a great job. And I think everyone that played in the tournament enjoyed it. It was a good experience for a lot of the newer players. I know players on my team were a lot more encouraged now to join a lot more of our like local tournaments that we host, as well as some international tournaments. So yeah, a big shout out to him. And I'm very thankful for us having this tournament, and also a big shout out to Lions who cast the whole tournament. It was from 9 a.m. in the morning on Saturday
Yeah, I got
until
to.
pretty
Wow.
much 7 o'clock. I went straight from the final to casting ESL. uh, so yeah, I mean that was a hectic day of like 13 plus hours of Hearthstone for me in particular. Uh, it was pretty hectic. We also had that interesting dynamic of the listen-ins that we managed to get with some of the teams throughout the tournament. So that was quite interesting.
Yeah.
I believe pretty much the
I
whole
thought
final was just our team talking.
listen,
Yeah, it was a
uh,
listen-in on our
the,
team.
the one thing I liked really about the tournament, but like not just the preparation and the listening in, is I think a lot of players don't realize, like I think we've spoken before, and I think even some of the pro players have said that a lot of times when you watch a game, not enough of the, we'll call it skill, shows through in terms of, how people win and lose. A lot of people only pay attention to, oh, that babbling book won the game, or that, they don't,
Yeah, yeah.
what I'm saying? What they don't do, they don't realize the preparation, they don't realize that the guy was playing, let's say 3-4 turns ago, going, okay, the way I'll win this game is I draw babbling book and get X, and so I think by having the listen ins and even just your discussing with your teammates, I think it kind of opens some of their eyes. I think some of my teammates, they were constantly going like, wow, they didn't think of that, in terms of, when I think, I go, okay, what am I expecting? Okay, I'm playing around this, and then people are like, no, like, how are you doing it? I'm like, no, what are you used to? What do you expect to see on turn 4 from a hunter? And then, someone will tell me there's a beast thing, and someone will say, no, I'm sure there's something, and then, I have to kind of just wait for them to say it before I go, okay, turn 4, if there's a beast on board, you're expecting a Houndmaster.
Yeah.
And so for some of the players who've even been playing for a while, it takes a while for you to kind of get into that mindset of, not just be blown out by a Houndmaster each time, but sometimes then making a what looks like a worse play to try and counteract it. And I mean, I think it's good to impart that sort of knowledge onto other players, because I mean, a lot of players, I think also, they watch streams, they watch tournaments, but sometimes the casters or streams, they don't always explain fully, the line of thought of the players or the mindset that they were in.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I think that's definitely great. Like having those people that can help you. I mean, ExiiA was talking about Expert Summer coaching him a bit in Hearthstone as well. Having those people that can help you up your game and sort of take that next step up in the way you think about the game is really, really useful. And that's also where the listen-ins come in, because a lot of times there might be some questions, asked in those listen-ins that can be very informative to viewers.
Exactly. It's like, why don't you trade here, or why don't you attack? And then it's a case of, oh, but you're playing around this. And, some people are going, oh, wait, they didn't think of playing around that. And then it's even, it's sort of really rewarding is when the opponent does actually have that card, and you played around it correctly. It does make you feel better about it.
Yeah. So, I mean, the tournament was really great. Big shout out to everyone involved once again. And hopefully we can see some more of these in the future. Maybe we can even get some other African players involved as well.
An Algerian team, maybe even, eh?
Yeah, well, I mean, if we go for the whole randomizing thing, then yeah.
Yeah, I'm saying, yeah.
Yeah.
I did really found that tournament really interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean the whole idea of like the preparation and stuff for lineups and stuff was quite interesting. I mean, I think the first meeting I had with my team, we just discussed decks that we would bring for
Yep.
like 3 or 4 hours, basically. It was
I was
just
like, what did you guys play?
yeah, that was first thing. I was like, okay, what can you
Smart,
guys play?
smart, smart.
And they were like, oh no, they had pretty much all the cards. The only thing was like Jack of Blades didn't have Sunkeep Atarium, for instance. So that's why we ended up having to give him the Shaman lineup, or the Shaman, Hunter, and Warlock. And then because Evoid actually had the cards necessary to play the Paladin, which was kind of the most expensive deck, right? And then I was playing the Mage, the Rogue, and the Priest because they were sort of the most uh, intensive decks in terms of like having to make a lot of actions, especially with the Rogue, because I was playing the Miracle Rogue. So it's not something you can always talk somebody through a turn. Sometimes you have to play it, and having played a lot of Miracle Rogue myself, it was just natural to have myself play it. It also means
Speaking,
sometimes people ban
speak,
it when they shouldn't.
yeah. I think speaking about the Rock, the Miracle one, I think he is underestimated at the
Mm,
moment. He is really good, and I do really like him at the moment. And me and friend, Seafox, he is also friend with me and Salium. He attended to participate for the qualification, but he couldn't. Did prepare a strange version, a very original one of the Miracle Rock. I
mhm.
think I will bring it the next weekend, maybe. Depends on the lineup. But
Yeah,
you will see it's incredible how he's underestimated at the moment. It's
yeah.
like how 100% win rate.
Okay, I mean that seems an unreasonably high win rate, but I get what you mean. Like, I was also quite surprised. I played Miracle Rogue in a ESGA tournament and actually won that like HCT tournament for this month. I initially honestly had picked Miracle Rogue by mistake because I made the wrong deck wild and in my first game, and then I was like, actually Miracle Rogue is good in this lineup, and I stuck with it the whole tournament. And most of the time they banned it, they expected it to be Quest Rogue, but actually it turned out to be Miracle Rogue. And I mean, I think that actually leads on quite nicely to our other topic for tonight, and that was the NA playoffs. We saw Muzzy there bringing Miracle Rogue. Muzzy, who is a very, very well-known Miracle Rogue player in particular, and he was able to take the tournament as a whole. He ended with a 10-0 record. The first player to go through these championships undefeated, and it's definitely deserving. I mean, Muzzy is sort of one of the top American players, if not the top, in my opinion. I tend
I
to
think
watch. Sorry, you go ahead.
I think Mr. Yogurt is a perfect rogue player too.
Hmm. Yeah, Mr. Yogurt is definitely a top rogue player. I mean, Muzzy also though has been like a big innovator of rogue. I mean, also I think he was one of the early innovators of the water rogue that we saw before Johnny Tongoro as well, himself and Purple. And he's like been one of the big go-to players in the American scene. And yeah, I mean, I watch his stream quite a lot, and he plays at very high level on like multiple servers. So it was very good to see him take the tournament as a whole. And there was also Ant that qualified in third or fourth for Shanghai. So the top four players from this qualify for the Spring Championships in Shanghai, alongside the EU players that we saw last weekend. Um, and then there was two more unknown players in Kuanet and Diego Diaz. So Diego Diaz was from Brazil, I believe, and Kuanet's also American. Um, so it was interesting to see a few more unknown players qualifying this time round. I don't know if you got to watch much of it, Pandemonia.
I watched a few games here and there. Unfortunately, I didn't get to watch, the players I was really wanted to follow. I think they either got knocked out too early, or the games wouldn't be streamed. So I was really hoping to see, watch guys like Fibonacci and Specialist and Racy, with their heavy control lineups. So I'm glad that Muzzy did quite well with I think a relatively control heavy lineup.
Well, I mean, yeah,
Uh,
Muzzy's plan was more of a mid-rangey lineup. He did bring that Echo Jade Shaman that we also saw ExiiA playing in the ESL
Oh
this last
yeah.
weekend. Yeah. Something in common there. He did bring the control paladin, I suppose, which is
Yeah,
pretty heavy control. I'd say Quest Warrior is more mid-rangey than control these days. Even though
yeah,
he was running the double brawl, double dirty rat version, um, which is almost as controlling as you can make that deck without putting in the shield block, shield slams. Um, but I mean, I think Muzzy had a good read on the meta. The Rogue in particular performed really well. I mean, all his decks actually performed very well. He had a very good overall game score besides going 10 and 0. And I mean, overall the meta was very, very slow and very heavy control. We saw a lot of really long series, especially with the amount of control paladins over the
yeah.
weekend.
And Thorn Warrior Mirrors.
And Taunt Warrior Mirrors,
I
yeah.
mean, I think the one game I watched, which was probably the most amusing, was I think it was Frozen playing against I can't remember who in a Taunt Warrior Mirror,
Oh,
and and
Damon.
it was a game where Frozen took like Goldshaftsman and what's it Shield Bearer off Stonehill Defenders, and
Yeah.
because just to spam the taunts.
Yeah, that game created a lot of controversy on Twitter, as Frozen was very salty and very indignant, well, very vocal about that game, because he was very upset at having at taking that loss early and at having to play Taunt Warrior because of he was saying the coin flippy nature of it with the Ragnaros hero power. Um,
Yeah,
so he was very, very upset, and it started quite a long Twitter rant, which he did end up sort of ending with a very long and very good post detailing his thoughts on those turns, because a lot of people were criticizing him for his choices in some of those games, like not using the innovates when he had the Gadgets and Auctioneer on the board in his Jade Druid game. Um, but if you actually read through his thoughts, they were quite interesting. I mean, he didn't want to use the innovates because both players had used in a Jade Druid Mirror. This was both players had used their Jade idols for tempo, so they didn't have the infinite Jade thing going. So fatigue was going to be an issue for both players, and he didn't actually want to draw that much more with his Gadgets hand. So it was quite interesting. The casters were sort of like surprised that he did that. But sometimes as casters you don't always see the lines. As sort of ExiiA and I were discussing with one of his ESL games on the Jade Shaman,
No, yeah.
discussing yeah, I mean his use there of the Spirit Echoes on use a Stone Tusk Ball to trade to set up so the Dragonfire Potion didn't kill him instead of just going for the value play of the Spirit Echo
Mm.
on the Jade Spirit. So it was
And
very interesting, yeah.
that did literally won me the game.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, as well, like there is value as well that we mentioned when we were discussing sort of in getting the totems, as weird as it seems uh, from the Spirit Echo, as even if you don't get Taunt Totem, it sets you up with better chance to roll the Taunt Totem if you just play the other totems and then Hero Power. And that
Not
Taunt
really a
Totem
better
also.
chance. That's 100 on the chance. If you played all the others and you totem with the shaman, you got 100% the
Yeah, yeah.
taunt one each time.
Yeah, yeah. But in that scenario, you had Echo Spirited the spell power and healing totems, um, and so you had a 50% chance to roll taunt, which was pretty big, as you made the correct read that Henryless had the Deathwing in his hand. So the taunt totem is
I
a good way to stop Deathwing after it comes
Not
down.
really. I did count that how much rounds I did have before I died from fatigue. I was
Yeah,
at 6 HP. I counted 4 rounds before I did. I
yeah,
was going to trade the twin with the 8-8 Jade.
yeah, yeah,
Then the last card was Aya. I was with the 9-9 and 6-3.
yeah. It would have
It
been
was the
enough.
free win, yeah. And
Yeah,
then
yeah.
I just got the taunt one totem, so I just went face.
Yeah, yeah, it was completely fair. I mean, he had no cards left, so
Yeah.
there was no way for him to punish the taunt totem. But yeah, I mean, obviously you weren't necessarily setting up specifically for the taunt totem, but it is something that could have possibly mattered. Um, so yeah, I mean that was well played, and that was a very interesting game. If anyone wants to go back and watch the VODs from the this week's ESL games. But yeah, I mean we saw uh, some interesting players making it through from the America's playoffs, sort of a mix of the new and well-known faces. Mostly though, I'm just happy my boy Muzzy made it. You love to see that. Um, I'm a big fan of Muzzy, so I was it was great
Right,
to see
Muzzy
him make it.
fanboy.
Yeah, yeah, straight up Muzzy fanboy here. Um, yeah, and I mean, it was a pity seeing Ant and Astrogation have to play each other in the quarterfinals, as they're also both sort of players that have been around in the scene for a long time. But it's good that Ant's gonna make it. Also, sort of a breakthrough for him, but a player that is been relatively well known.
Yeah, he's known.
Yeah. So, actually, on the topic of streamers, are there any sort of streamers that you enjoy watching, ExiiA?
Yeah, I found you do make the best calls each time,
Yeah.
so that's an easy thing to watch.
Yeah.
So once I go and check that was the optimal play, I can just watch it easy and speed it up so I can watch it fastly. Because that was a 5 hour casting
Yeah.
average. That's a lot, so that was
Okay.
perfect. I'd like them. Yeah.
Yeah. So
I
you're
can also watch the other play style, play around what, and the misplays too. The misplays.
yeah, yeah. So you're saying you watch the VODs from the ESL games quite a lot. So
Yeah, every
you
day,
analyze the play.
every match I did last watch it.
Yeah, I mean that's great. That's something I did a lot when I was starting out trying to improve as a player as well. It's very good to watch back your own games and see maybe where you could have made mistakes. I mean we've uh, Zamok, the other sometimes co-host of this podcast that's at the moment studying for exams, he and I have gone through a lot of Pandemonia's games with him, especially Miracle Rogue games, and been
Yeah.
less than complimentary about some of his choices on the Miracle Rogue. But I mean,
Well, it's
that
only when I
obviously
get
just
you that
helps
you
you
get better.
improve. Yeah,
Yeah. So some of them I still have nightmares about that.
yeah. Dagger on
Uh,
too. It's good.
yeah, they got too. Uh,
Yeah. So, but I mean, other than watching VODs of your own games, do you watch any sort of other like popular streamers, ExiiA? Like Tice
Yeah,
or any of those guys?
yeah, of course, yeah. Uh, I did also knew recently that do have the same battle tag. Me and Taste, we have
Uh,
22. Yeah,
oh, the number after the
exactly.
hash.
Yeah, the exactly number. Tag.
Yeah.
I do like also watch the Arma TV one.
Okay.
I don't know if you know him. It's
Uh,
the French one.
Yeah, yeah. So do you watch a lot of the French community? I mean, I don't tend to watch that much of it because obviously they speak French and I don't. Uh, but I mean, I know Purple's also streamed quite a bit in that community, and there's like Best Marmot or Marmonet or whatever his name
Yeah,
was.
yeah.
I
That's
had him
for
I
what.
had him on my friends list for a long time from playing him in like online tournaments. Um, but yeah, I mean, there's like and then I used to get random ads from people. They were like, "Oh, you're friends with this guy." I'm like, "I what? I don't even know him." Like obviously people that had seen my battle tag on Twitch on his streams, which was quite hilarious.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, so I mean, do you watch a lot of the French broadcasts in particular?
Not really, not only the French, but there's 3 or 4 players that I really like in the first community. Purple is one of them. I don't know if you know, but Purple is from
Canada, yeah.
yeah, from Canada, and that's half French, half English, like you know.
Yeah, yeah.
Maverick is a very good old player.
Yeah, he's a
Oli,
Belgian player, yeah.
yeah,
And
Oliech too. I don't know if you know him.
who, sorry?
Oliech is French too with the Arma TV team.
I think I recognize the name, but I don't know him as well as I know Maverick and Purple.
On the outside of France, I do love Sabrzat, Power, everyone, Super GG. I
Yeah,
really appreciate every pro player with his play style.
yeah. I mean, rogue players are also some of my favorites to watch. I mean, like Oskaka's been streaming a lot recently, and also playing a lot of the Quest Rogue, so it's been great to watch him
Yeah.
play Quest Rogue as well. As that deck does have a much higher skill cap than most people realize. So yeah, I mean, It's been great having you on the podcast this week, ExiiA. Anything else you want to uh, say before we sign off tonight? Any shout outs or call outs to any of your fellow Algerians or anyone else involved in ESL or anything?
I want to thank you before anything to say. I want to say thanks also to the an ACL. It's a new organization in Algeria.
Okay.
It's developing in every tournament, so it's doing about CS, Dota, Hearthstone even. We
Yeah.
did got invited Me Spirit, Salium, and Sifu
Oh,
2 weeks ago to 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 their company. We did really got to receive it well, and they really attempt to change the things here in Algeria. It may go really, really great. Uh, Thankfully to them.
yeah.
Hopefully it will develop fastly.
Mm. Yeah, I mean
That's
that.
all I think.
Cool. Yeah, I mean that's great to see. It's also it's always good to see when gaming organizations get involved and help out the players. I mean, Pandemonia is one that's been on the receiving end of that from Energy, and I'm sure that's been a great help to him. And I mean, I would encourage a lot more to get involved in the Hearthstone community in particular, or a lot more of I mean, local South African organizations, but also obviously in Algeria and the rest of Africa as well. Anything from you before we sign off, Pandemonia?
No, just it's always good to like you said, we get a bit too comfortable just like South African Hearthstone players. It's good to chat to Algerian players, and hopefully we get to see you in October at
Same
at the
feeling.
ESL qualifiers.
I will
I mean,
come.
the ESL finals.
Yeah.
I think I will come anyways, even if I don't qualify for the tournament. I will just go to my ticket out and I will come visit you. I think
That'd
it's
be great.
really a great country. I didn't have such idea of it in the beginning,
Yeah.
but I really kinda like it now. A bit more than Algeria at the moment.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah, it'd be awesome to have you here.
yeah, you sent me that picture of Cape Town with in the URL where it said that it was Durban, and I was like, no, no,
Yeah,
that's
it's
Cape Town.
awesome. Dude.
Yeah. Rage is in Joburg though, which is not as pretty as Cape Town. I will.
No, yeah, unfortunately, there's a lot
Yeah.
more stuff here, but not as pretty. We don't have. I mean, we're a fair distance away from mountains and the
And
ocean.
there's ocean and yeah.
We don't have things like this in Algiers. Algiers is beautiful to there are some places really well, but there is some bad really places
Mm.
that how to tell it's doesn't really give a good look for the the
For tourists and stuff like that.
yeah, exactly, yeah, for the tourist things.
Yeah. No, I mean, South Africa is definitely a land of contrast as well. We also have a lot of a large socioeconomic gap in a lot of places, and you can definitely see that as well. But there's just a lot of natural beauty in our country as well as man-made beauty. So I mean, I definitely encourage you to visit South Africa, and also, if you do come down for Rage, also come check out Cape Town or Durban or somewhere as well. To see
For sure.
the prettier parts of South Africa, in my opinion. My totally non-biased at all opinion, having been from Durban and now living in Cape Town.
Yeah, I've been Joburg my whole life, so can't really argue, right?
Yeah, but I mean, yeah, even you enjoy coming down to Cape Town in particular for the events because it's really nice here.
Yeah, it's nice. It's a break from Joburg. Like Joburg and Pretoria, it's a lot more of the commerce and the business. It's a lot more, the rat race. Whereas in Cape Town, everything just feels so much more chilled.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway, I think we've rambled enough here at the end of this podcast. Thanks again, ExiiA, for joining us, and best of
Thanks,
luck.
dude.
Best of luck in
And
the ESL games going forward.
Thanks, dude.
Cool. Thanks and cheers, everyone. Before we go, please like, subscribe, do all those things. I almost forgot to plug the whole thing. Like, subscribe on YouTube and follow on Twitch, and you can find Pandemonia and myself on Twitter. Our Twitter handles are here at DalePon and at Dib_gaming. And I don't know if are you on Twitter, ExiiA? Do you
No,
want us to
not
plug
yet.
your Twitter
Not yet.
handle? Okay. Well, let us know when you are, and then we can plug your Twitter handle as well next time you
Thanks,
come
Deb.
on after you qualify for the offline finals. Okay. Yeah. Thanks again, everyone, and cheers.